Hello, this is Johnny Good. Today I want to do something just a little bit different. Instead of showing you how to make a paper mache critter of some kind, today I want to show you how to make some paper mache clay. It's a really easy recipe. It doesn't cost very much, and it holds really clear detail. It's really easy to work with, and I'm really enjoying the projects that I'm using it with right now. As you can see in this really close-up of a snow leopard I'm working on, it'll hold tool marks, really fine detail. It sticks to your fingers just a little bit, but it's easy to take care of. Just keep your fingers or your tools just a little bit damp, and it's just a joy to work with this clay. What you're going to be needing, as you can see from this list, it's not going to cost very much. You want 2 rolls of cheap toilet paper, 3/4 of a cup of white glue like Elmer's. If you do this a lot, go to your hardware store and buy it in the gallon jar. It's an awful lot cheaper than buying it in the little squirt bottles that you get at in the stationery section. You'll also, while you're at the hardware store, you want to get 3/4 of a cup of joint compound. If you don't know where it is, just ask them, they'll show you. And it only costs about $5 for a gallon. And you can also use 2 tablespoons of linseed oil if you want your clay to have just a little bit of a slick feel to it. You don't have to. I've used this clay both with and without the oil, and it seems to work just fine either way. And you'll also want some white flour. While you're at the hardware store, you might also want to pick up some of this expanded aluminum. It comes in a roll, and it's used for keeping leaves out of your gutter. But what I use it for is forming the structure for my sculptures, because the paper mache clay needs a backing, and it sticks really nicely to this, and it doesn't cost very much, and it's really easy to use. So you might want to pick some of that up while you're at the hardware store. Now, the first thing you want to do is take your toilet paper off of the rolls and throw it in a bowl of warm water. You don't need to pull it apart right now. We'll be doing that in a minute. I use 2 rolls of cheap toilet paper, and that seems to work just fine for this recipe. Once you get it all nice and wet, then you can pull it apart. You can use fairly large chunks. You don't have to get real carried away with tearing it into bits right at this point, because your mixer is going to do that for you. Now, once you've got it pulled apart in reasonably small chunks, go ahead and take it to your sink and squeeze out most of the water. As you can see, 2 rolls of toilet paper turns into a fairly small lump of pulp by the time you get all the water squoze out of it. Now you want to add your 3/4 cup of Elmer's glue and 3/4 of a cup of your joint compound, and if you want to use it, a couple of tablespoons of linseed oil. And now what I use is the dough hook on a small electric mixer. You may be able to use the regular beaters as well. I haven't tried it. You might also be able to use a Cuisinart or some fancy piece of machinery, but again, I haven't tried that either. The dough hook on the small electric mixer works really well, and when you mix this mixture together, you're also going to be ripping those pieces of paper apart, because toilet paper is formulated to just fall apart as soon as it gets wet. So that's what this the mechanical mixing is going to be doing. Is going to actually be shredding your paper into teensy little bits and mixing it thoroughly with your glue and your joint compound. So go ahead and continue mixing. I suppose you could probably even do this by hand if you wanted to. Mix it up until you get to a consistency that's thoroughly mixed, and you can actually pick it up if you wanted. You could use it at this point right now. It's still a bit damp, but it will hold shapes. So you could use it at this point if you wanted to. I prefer to make mine a little bit thicker, and I do that by using a filler of all-purpose white flour. I just mix just a little bit in at a time until I get the consistency that I want. Just pick up a little bit and play with it to until you get to the point where you have the consistency that you think would be enjoyable to use. As you can see, mine is done now, and if you use a slightly damp spoon, you can make it really smooth, and you can put tool marks in there, you can get your details, so you can just see at this point that you've got clay that is going to make a really nice sculpture for you. As soon as you get it done, you're going to want to put it in an airtight container. You want to keep it from drying out, obviously. You also want to use it up fairly quickly, because if you don't, there's a possibility that it will sour or mold. Some people like to put maybe a teaspoon of household bleach in the mixture when they're first mixing it up, just to make sure that it doesn't sour. Because I use mine up so quickly, and I dry my sculptures in the oven at about 200 degrees, I'm not really concerned about that. But if you are, you may want to consider throwing a little bit of bleach in with your clay right at the beginning. So that's it. You've got some clay. It's cost very little amount of money, and you've got a large batch so that you can make a really fine sculpture. I hope you have fun with it. Now, if you haven't come over, if you're not watching this at my site right now, I hope you'll come visit. We've got tutorials on making a little panda, including a pattern. I've got a lop-eared bunny and dragons, bluebirds. We've even got a pattern and a video tutorial for making a life-size baby elephant. So we've got a lot of things out there for you to see, and I do hope that you'll come visit. So, ultimatepapermache.com. Thank you for watching.